Hello everyone, it's Elliot here and I have some boutique Blu-ray news for you. It's that great time of the month when we get the Criterion Collection announcements for a few months down the line. Now these are the announcements for November 2020 and it's a pretty damn good slate if you ask me. Maybe not the best that we've had in 2020, but there's a lot of great stuff to be excited for. Usually in these announcement videos, I go through each of the titles by release date, and in this video I'm going to actually address some of your questions that you've left me on my YouTube community tab regarding these particular releases, so stick around to the end for those questions answered. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, the real good stuff, I do want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has been over and had a look at my Patreon page that I launched last week. In particular, everyone who has pledged. It means so much to me that you have, and it's going to help make this channel a much better place. So thank you for that. And I do hope you've been enjoying the exclusive videos on offer there. And it's been great chatting to you on our community page as well. So thanks for that. And if you're not a part of the Patreon already and you want to take a look, the link will be in the description below. So moving on to the Criterion announcements. I usually do them in release order, like I mentioned, but I think actually I'm going to change that this time. I'm going to tackle the really big mammoth release that we're getting in November, and that is the Essential Fellini box set. So the Essential Fellini box set is out on November 24th, 2020, retailing for $250, but you can pre-order it for less from Criterion right now. Though I'll mention that November is one of the months that the Barnes & Noble 50% off sale happens. So if you wait for that, on release day, you could be getting this for half off, which is an absolute steal. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing if that actually happens. If not though, $200 seems a pretty good price for what you get in this. So let's take a look at what's included. Doing a quick rundown of the movies included in this set, because if I went into detail on all of them, we'd be here for hours. The first one is Variety Lights, that's from 1950. You got The White Sheik from 1952, I Vitelloni from 1953, La Strada, 1954, Il Bidone, 1955, Nights of Cabiria, 1957, La Dolce Vita, 1960, 8½, 1963, Juliet of the Spirits, 1965, Fellini Satyricon, 1969, Roma, 1972, Amarcord, 1973, And the Ship Sails On, 1983, and Intervista, 1987. So you're getting a hell of a lot included in there, though it's worth noting this isn't Fellini's entire filmography, which has been a point of discussion because I think the rumours of this Fellini set, many people were hoping that it was going to be similar to the Ingmar Bergman cinema set or the complete Agnes Varda set. Now, the Bergman set didn't actually include every one of his films, but it included pretty much all of them. There were over 30 films in there. With this Fellini set, there's actually quite a few missing, which has been a point of discussion, like I said. The notable omissions that some people have been talking about are Fellini's Casanova, The Voice of the Moon, Orchestra Rehearsal. There's a few others as well that people have been talking about, and some of those are available on other labels like Arrow Academy. Yeah, it's a shame that they're not included, but I think what you're getting in this Essential Fellini set, and let's be honest, when you look at the ones included in this set, you're getting pretty much what I would call the Essential Fellini. You're getting all of the big hitters from his filmography. Some of these have been available previously on Blu-rays, in particular Blu-rays from Criterion, but there's a lot of these that haven't been on Blu-ray before, like I Vitelloni doesn't have a Blu-ray. There's been UK Blu-rays of Nights of Cabiria, The White Sheik and La Strada, but I don't believe there's been US Blu-rays of them yet. It does mention in the Special Features tab on this release on the Criterion website that there's new 4K restorations of 11 theatrical features. So this is very exciting because there should be, a marked improvement on 8½, and La Dolce Vita that were previously on Criterion Blu-rays. This happened with the Bergman set. When we got the Seventh Seal in that box set, it was almost day and night with the previous Criterion Blu-ray. It was a massive improvement. So I think we're going to be getting that with this set. And because of this, I've already seen on eBay and on Facebook, a lot of people are selling their old Fellini Blu-rays. So if you're not going to be picking up this box set, that's a pretty good chance now to get the Blu-rays probably a bit cheaper secondhand. So looking further down the special features, it says there's a new digital restoration of the short film Toby Dammit, which was from the Spirits of the Dead anthology film that Fellini was a part of. And then the television film Fellini, A Director's Notebook is on there as well. You've got feature documentaries Fellini, I'm a Born Liar, and Marcello Mastroianni, I Remember from 1997. There's a 2-hour, 4-part 1960 interview with Federico Fellini by filmmaker André Delvaux for Belgian television. Actually, looking at this list now, there's a ton of documentaries, so many documentaries on this. There's audio commentaries on 6 of the films, archival interviews, video essays. Wow, there's so much included in this. I'm not going to go through all of the special features. You'll pretty much get an idea of if this is for you just from looking at the films included. The packaging on this looks really interesting as well, because it's got the discs laid out, like 4 discs in a page. So it's going to be some sort of booklet. And it's a square shape, so it looks like it's almost going to be the size of a vinyl 12-inch record. And there's a booklet included in there as well. Oh, and it's got great artwork with Fellini on the front as well. So this looks like a really great release for Fellini fans. And with these big box sets, it's obviously not a great entry point if you're not familiar with the director at all. But because this comes out in November, you've got some time now. Do some homework. I think some of these films are on the Criterion channel as well. So you'll be able to watch these and you can get a gist of if Fellini is for you. But I'm a huge Fellini fan. I'm very excited to get this, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well. So that's the Essential Fellini box set. If you're enjoying this video about the Criterion announcements, please do consider subscribing to the channel. That way you would hear about these videos as soon as they get uploaded, and you can join in all of the discussions on the videos. Anyway, back to the announcements. So going back to the usual running order of things, let's look at the first title that's released in November. So we have the film Girlfriends. This is from 1978, directed by Claudia Weil or Weil. I'm not too sure how you pronounce her name, so sorry for butchering that. But this looks like a very interesting release. Now, I've never seen Girlfriends, but my reference point for this is this famously gets quoted as one of Stanley Kubrick's favourite films. Now, I'm not actually sure it is one of his favourite films, because I went and did some researching for this, and I saw that he was just asked in an interview in the 80s whether he liked the new Hollywood type of cinema, so Scorsese, Coppola, etc. And he said that the most interesting thing happening in American cinema at the time was this film, Girlfriends. And I think ever since then it's been attached as one of his favourite films. Whether it is or not, who knows? But that has me very intrigued to actually check this out. So I don't know a lot about it, but if it's a film that Kubrick admired, you know, Kubrick's one of my favourite filmmakers, Barry Lyndon's my favourite film of all time, so I'm going to get it just off the back of that. It's from a new restored 4K digital transfer. It's spine number 1055. There's new interviews on there with the director and the actors in there. New interview with the screenwriter. There's a short film on there, or 2 short films on there. And then there's essays in the booklet. So this looks like a great release. Going to be a bit of a blind buy for me. So if you've seen Girlfriends and if you think I'm going to like it, well, let me know in the comments below. The next release to talk about comes out on November 17th, 2020. And this one has me shocked that it's appearing here, but also very excited because I completely love this film. The film is Moonstruck, directed by Norman Jewison, starring Cher and Nicolas Cage. I am blown away by the fact that this is coming to the Criterion Collection. It's one that initially I didn't think, would ever come to Criterion, because I don't think it's the greatest film in the world, and it almost seems a bit too mainstream, perhaps, for Criterion. Although saying that, they've done many more mainstream films than this. But I'm so excited for this. I just love it. This is like comfort food in a film for me. And I think the performances are brilliant. I think there's a great look at family life in this. Nicolas Cage gives a great unhinged performance as usual. Before we get into the special features, it's worth noting that for the first time that I've ever seen, Criterion have made this announcement without the box art on the website. They've just got some placeholder artwork at the moment. Now, I've never seen this before, but I can only assume that this is the reason that these particular announcements were delayed a whole day, because we were meant to get them on Monday. We actually got them on the Tuesday. So maybe this is the reason, and they just didn't want to delay any further. That's my guess anyway. And I'm very excited at what the artwork could be for this. Very excited. So looking at the special features, there's a new 4K digital restoration, so should look the best it's ever been. New interview with screenwriter John Patrick Shanley. New interview with scholar Stefano Albertini about the use of opera in the film, which is a great thing. Introduction featuring Cher. Interviews from 1987. Looking at a lot of these special features, actually, I think these were on the older Blu-ray of Moonstruck. So I'm not actually sure, apart from those two new interviews at the top, I think all of these special features have been on the previous Blu-ray. So that's worth bearing in mind if you're thinking about double dipping, if you've already got the original Blu-ray, which will be much cheaper. So definitely worth paying attention to. Yeah, and there's an audio commentary from 1998, and there's an essay in the booklet. So there's a ton of special features on there, just not all of them are original. So that is worth bearing in mind. But I'm so excited for this release. This is, like I said, just pleasurable comfort food in terms of cinema for me. So I'm very excited for Moonstruck coming to the Criterion Collection. Also coming out on November 17th is another brilliant film, another favourite of mine, Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, directed by Jim Jarmusch. This is from 1999, and it's going to be spine number 1057. This is a tremendous film, maybe my favourite Jarmusch film out there. I recently watched The Limits of Control, which is often seen as one of his lesser films, but his style and his type of filmmaking is running all through his films, and I can't wait to revisit Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai. I used to have this on an old Blu-ray, which was only available in Germany, I think. So I was in Germany on holiday, and I was looking in Saturn, which is their version of HMV, I think. And on the shelf was Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai. And I was like, I've got to get this. And I did, and it served me well for a number of years. But I'm definitely getting this Criterion disc. In terms of what the film's about, it follows this enigmatic figure who has this code, much like the code of the samurai. And it's said in the blurb of this Criterion release that it's taken inspirations from Jean-Pierre Melville and Seijun Suzuki. So obviously the Melville film Le Samurai, which is in the Criterion collection as well, it takes a lot from that. And then from Suzuki's Yakuza films, so like Branded to Kill and Tokyo Drifter, just the kind of code of honor of the Yakuza. And then the Samurai, which obviously came way before Yakuza. There's a lot in there that's actually looking at, codes of honor. And it's just a wonderful film. Looking at the special features, it says it's a new restored 4K digital transfer, so it's going to look better than my older German Blu-ray. There's a new Q&A with Jarmusch, in which he responds to questions sent in by the fans. There's a new conversation between the actors in the film. There's a bunch of new interviews, new video essay. There's a program on the making of the film. And then there's a booklet with essays in there as well. So again, Criterion knocking it out of the park. And I really like the artwork for this as well, with Forrest Whitaker on the front. So very excited to get this come November. We have one more release for November 2020, and this is a huge one. This has got a lot of people talking. It's The Irishman from Martin Scorsese. This is spy number 1058. It's had a lot of people talking about it already because a lot of people have seen it. It was produced and distributed on Netflix, so tons of people have been able to watch it online. And this is part of the ongoing relationship between Criterion and Netflix. We previously had Roma from Alfonso Cuarón get a Blu-ray release, and we had Marriage Story from Noah Baumbach get a Blu-ray release. And this is the next in line of these Netflix Criterion releases. I know I probably sound like a broken record bringing this up, but it is worth mentioning. This is yet another opportunity where Criterion could have entered the 4K UHD Blu-ray market, and they've chosen not to. They could have done this last month with the announcement of Parasite, and then the announcement of The Elephant Man, and then previously with Roma. There's so many films that they could have done this with already, and they've just chosen not to enter the 4K market, which is surprising because now other labels of similar stature are entering the market, like Arrow Video and Kino Lorber, etc. So there's a lot of different labels that are trying out 4K discs, and it's strange that Criterion, who have always been at the forefront of innovation and getting the best looking film out there, haven't started looking at utilizing the 4K disc. But that's a discussion for another time, and I'm sure the discussion will come up again and again, so I won't belabor the point. The film itself is one that I enjoyed greatly, but I think I do need to revisit it because I didn't maybe take in everything that's going on in the film. It's a very big film. It's over 3 hours long, and there's a lot packed in there. What I did take from the film is that it plays like a swan song, not just in terms of the life of a criminal mobster, but actually as a swan song for these actors and for the director, because they're all very late on in their careers now, and to all come together to make a piece of art like this is tremendous. And it all happened because of Netflix. Without Netflix, they wouldn't have had the money. So in terms of the discussion of whether Netflix is a good thing to have there out in the world, I mean, this is a major point for that. Looking at the special features, it says new 4K digital master. I'm not sure what new means here, because I would have imagined there'd only be one digital master of this, with it being such a new film. It's been shown in 4K on Netflix. I would have thought there's just one master. So I'm not really sure what a new remaster of the film would have done. Newly edited roundtable conversation with Scorsese and the actors. New documentary about the making of the film. There's a new video essay about the film. There's a program about the visual effects on the film, and an archival interview with Frank Sheeran, which is very interesting. And then an essay in the booklet. So all around, a great release, one that I will definitely be getting, but I can imagine some people will be fine with just having The Irishman on Netflix. So let me know if you'll be getting this release. So that's the announcements out of the way. I'm now just going to dip into some of your questions that you left on my community tab here on YouTube. I probably won't get through all of them because you've left quite a few, but I'll just pick out a few of them. So Robert Killock has asked if these will be getting a UK release in November. And this is always an interesting point, because here in the UK, we tend to get different releases because of distribution rights issues. Now, I can imagine The Irishman will get a UK Criterion release, because this has happened with the other Netflix Criterion releases like Roma and Marriage Story. And I don't think the home distribution rights have been tied up with anyone else, because obviously Netflix has them. So I imagine that will get a UK release. As for the others, not too sure. I'm not too sure if Ghost Dog will. I don't know who the rights are with here in the UK. So fingers crossed for that. Ryan McDuffie has asked me about the de-aging in The Irishman. Yeah, I think it does take me out of the moment, because even though these characters have been de-aged facially and they look a lot younger, the way they move and the way they act in those scenes where they're meant to be young, they're not really acting like a young man or moving like a young man. So it doesn't quite jive, and there's that uncanny valley nature to the CGI. Whereas it's very close. It's very close to looking photorealistic, but there's just something slightly off, and it just takes me out of it. So I think it's the best they could have done, and it serves the storytelling, because otherwise they would have had to get younger actors for those parts of the films, and I don't think that would have worked. So I think it's the best they could have done, but it's not perfect. Mr. Mogford has asked whether the Fellini box set will be region free. I don't know that, but I can only assume if you look at the Bergman set, the Godzilla set, and the Varda set, all of those are region free, I believe. Actually, maybe not the Godzilla set, because that did have a UK release as well. But certainly the Bergman set is region free. So I would imagine this Fellini set will be region free as well. Kristen Jenkins talks about the packaging on the Irishman and whether it will be a digipack packaging. And it's a good point, because the Roma release was a digipack and the Marriage Story release was a digipack also. So there is a trend now with the Criterion Netflix releases being in digipack packaging. So yeah, I'd imagine the Irishman would have a digipack package. So lastly, Tim Home asks me what I think about the cover art for these releases. The Fellini box set artwork I love. The Moonstruck artwork, obviously there isn't artwork yet. Girlfriends I've not seen, so I can't say whether the artwork fits the film, but I think it's just a still from the film. The Ghost Dog artwork I really, really like. And then this Irishman artwork is artwork that I think is great as well. I love the painting style, and obviously there's that symbol of fraternity and the importance of the rings in the story as well. I think the artwork for the Irishman is great. That about concludes this video for the Criterion announcements for November 2020. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do let me know any of your thoughts on these releases down below. I'll be back with more videos about boutique Blu-rays very soon, but if you want to check out my Patreon, there are some exclusive videos on there about boutique Blu-ray collecting. And if you want to click whatever video is going to be suggested to you now on the screen, you can probably get some more tips and recommendations from me in other videos. So until next time, stay well and keep watching great films.